Hello and welcome everyone. Today we are starting a new chapter which is organizing. We have 5 functions in management: planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling. Today we are going to learn about the second function of management, which is organizing. In this very particular video, we will talk about what is organizing, the meaning and definition of the organizing process, and then we will also talk about steps involved in the process of organizing. The basic thing that you have to understand, what I believe as organizing is developing the skeleton of the organization. We are in business studies, which means how to do business, how businesses work. We are in the process of learning how every organization works. What are all the things that are involved in running an organization? So that means we should also understand how to develop the skeleton of an organization. We are going to build an organization. To build anything, we need a skeleton. So this organizing chapter is about, suppose tomorrow you are planning to build a business, how do you draft the skeleton? The first thing is planning. You will draw a blueprint. Let's say you are going to construct a house. If you want to construct a single bedroom apartment or a 2 BHK or a 3 BHK, or let's say you want to build a penthouse. Based on your desire, you will draw the blueprint. The process of drawing the blueprint was planning. But after you draw the blueprint, what you will do? You will start drawing the foundation. You'll start making the foundation, digging for the foundation, don't you? So that is organizing. Now, I will also show you 4 images of sea transport. Let's see, this is the first image. This is a canoe, or you can also call it as a small boat. This is a canoe primarily. So take a good look at this. Let me show you the second image. This is a medium size yacht. Then let's see this slightly bigger sized passenger ship, and then finally you see a huge container ship. All 4 images are the carriers that run in water. They take people or objects from one place to another. They all run on water. Now, you can also build a canoe, or you can build a big container ship. Depending on what you want to build, you will develop the skeleton, right? Let's say if you just want to build a canoe, things are extremely simple. It's very easy to draw the skeleton for this. But let's say if you want to build a huge container ship like this, then the skeleton has to be extremely complex, isn't it? So that's the meaning of this organizing. Developing the skeleton, and based on that skeleton, you create a structure to the organization that you want to create. So let's look at the definitions now. The organizing function leads to the creation of an organizational structure, which includes the designing of roles to be filled by suitably skilled people and defining the interrelationship between those roles so that ambiguity in performance of duties can be eliminated. So I have to draw a structure of how many people I am going to employ, under which department are they going to place, who is going to supervise them, who they are going to supervise. So I have to establish the hierarchy. So for that I have to create roles in the first place. So that is what is called designing of roles. Please understand, we are not going to fill those roles. Filling the roles is staffing chapter, which means I have created a role. Let me give you some examples. Some roles: marketing manager, audit executive, logistics officer, R&D vice president. These are all roles. In organizing chapter, I just have to create the roles, design the roles, and say that vice president of R&D will report to the managing director. General manager of R&D will report to vice president of R&D. So I just define the roles, and I will also establish hierarchy. But who is going to get appointed as vice president of R&D, or who is going to get appointed as general manager, that is staffing chapter. We will see that afterwards. But right now, we are just going to design the role. Now, let's see the actual definition also. Organizing can be defined as a process that initiates implementation of plans by clarifying jobs and working relationships and effectively deploying resources for attainment of the desired objectives. I hope you understood the meaning and definition of organizing. Now let us talk about the steps in the process of organizing. The first step is identification and division of work. So depending on the size of the organization, that's why I had to give you that example of 4 different types of sea transport. Your organization is a sole proprietor, is similar to a one-person boat. If your organization is a company, it's like a private company, then it's like a passenger ship. But let's say if your organization is like Infosys, TCS level company, then it is like that huge container ship. What type of organization that you are planning to build will tell how many type of work will be there and how many roles are there and how those work will be divided into different departments. So first thing is identification and division of work. Okay, I will give you examples. I'm currently running a teaching business. It's a sole proprietor form of organization. So what are all the work that will be involved? I have to teach. I have to take care of the onboarding process of students joining, new students joining. And then I also have to monitor their attendance. And then I have to monitor their school tests review. And then I also have to collect the fee. And then I also have to handle this administrative task like, okay, today we have class at this time, today there is a rescheduling in the class. All these things are involved in running a teaching business. Now, I'm the only person who does all those things. So there is no division of work. I wanted my organization to be like a one-person boat, a small canoe. So I purposefully designed the organization like this. That's why I do all the activities by myself. I want to keep the organization simple. But tomorrow, if I have to expand this business and make it into like a 10 branch organization across Chennai, I want to establish teaching institutes, then my organization will become complex. I have to hire a lot of people. I have to create a lot of roles. Then it goes on and on. So that is identification and division of work. The first step in the process of organization involves identification and dividing the work that has to be done accordance with previously determined plans. Now, in my case, I keep things very simple, but I also have to definitely identify. Then departmentalization. As I said, if the organization is extremely small, I don't have to have different departments. In my teaching business, there are no departments. I run everything by myself. Sole proprietors will not have any departments. They do everything because they are sole proprietor. But let's say if it's a partnership form of organization, or let's say if it's a company form of organization, there will be a lot of departments that are created. Again, back to the example of my work experience in my previous job organization. We also had a lot of departments: sales department, purchase department, planning department, maintenance department, admin department, legal department. It goes on and on. Almost the company had 10 to 12 departments based on function. So what they did, they belong to that department. If you do sales work, you belonged in sales department. If you do finance work, accounting work, you belonged to finance department. Like that, the whole organization was divided into a lot of departments. So again, identifying how many departments I should create is the second process in organizing. Then third step is assignment of duties. After you create departments, you have to create roles, as I said just now, some time ago. How many roles are there? Let's say in finance department, VP finance, general manager finance, deputy general manager finance, and then you will have deputy manager finance, assistant manager, executive, senior officer, officer, junior officer, assistant. So a simple finance department will have so long hierarchy if it is a very big company. If it is a small company, let's say if it's an audit firm where I worked, I was the articled assistant, I reported to my manager, and manager directly reported to the partner. So only the hierarchy had only 3 people: the top boss, the middle level manager, and I was at the lower level of operations. And then I worked in a sole proprietor form of organization for some time while doing CA. Because I was working for sole proprietor was the boss and I was directly working under him. So there is no hierarchy at all. I was directly reporting to him. So this is assignment of duties. Based on the complexity of organization, I will create roles, and based on those roles, I will assign what each and everyone has to do. When I worked for that sole proprietor, I was actually handling a lot of wide variety of work. Because again, It was a small organization. There were no departments. I was entrusted with a lot of work. But when I worked in a company, it was heavily departmentalized. Finance, purchase, marketing, sales. And I was in audit department. My work was extremely limited to audit functions only. I did not worry about what marketing people were doing. I did not worry about how sales is happening in the company. So that is assignment of duties. And last is establishing authority and reporting relationships. I just explained this some time ago. Small organization, I was directly reporting to the top boss itself. Middle level organization, I was reporting to a manager, and then manager was reporting to the partner. Big firm of organization, I was reporting to a deputy manager was reporting to a general manager was reporting to vice president, and vice president was ultimately reporting to the managing director. So that's how the hierarchy forms in certain organization. So to wrap up this, let's say if an organization is extremely simple, this is like a sole proprietor organization, like you are the only person, no need of hierarchy. Let's say it's a mid-level firm, so you report to a manager, and manager will report to the senior partner. So it's like a medium size business. Then slightly bigger, like a private company, like 100 people, 200 people, 500 people work in this. So there will be very slight hierarchy, like 3-4 people until you reach the top manager or the top boss, which is the managing director. And then comes companies like Infosys, TVS, Reliance, all the top 50 companies that you see in the stock market. All these are like this company, big complex structure. Even if you have high qualification and get into a company like that, by the time you even get to see the managing director or even the top management people, at least 12 to 14 people will be in there in between. Let's say you clear BCom, or let's say you clear CA and join in Wipro or in TCS as a finance executive. By the time you want to meet even the CFO, there will be at least 8 to 10 people in the hierarchy. So that's how this organizing concept works. In the upcoming lectures, we will see in detail about what is functional structure, what is divisional structure, what is the importance of organization. All those things we will see. Hello and welcome back. In today's video, let's talk about importance of organizing. There are 7 points in this subtopic. Let us see them one by one. The first point is benefits of specialization. We already saw in the previous class that organizing means creation of roles. In the second function of management, which is organizing, the top management will set and design new roles. You need to understand clearly, I'm repeating what I said in the previous class. Staffing is different, organizing is different. Organizing is designing and drafting of the roles. Staffing is filling the people, the right people in those roles. So that's the difference you always should keep in mind. Now organizing is about drafting the roles. Now because of this, a role will have a narrow scope of activities. To give you an example, I will create a role called marketing executive. I will create a role called HR executive, which means the marketing executive will do only marketing related activities. HR executives will only do HR related activities. Now the same person will not do both marketing related activities. They will not be running advertisements, and the same person will not be conducting interviews and recruiting people, which is the job of a HR executive. So there will be a division of work. You have to recall Fayol's principles of management. The first thing was division of work. Work has to be clearly defined and the roles should be created according to the clearly divided work. Now, because the roles are already narrow in nature, a person who comes in to fill that role will only do those narrow scope of activities. Now, what happens if a person keeps doing a same or similar set of related activities over and over again? Obviously, that worker will become a specialized expert in that role. Okay, so that's the first point you need to understand. I will give you an example definitely. You see, as an example, I have taken a data from LinkedIn. This is a job vacancy that I saw recently. What is the job nature? The company who has advertised this job opening has said that we are looking for an accounting associate who is excited to work from home and help the accounting team. Okay, what that person has to do, the responsibilities is compiling, analyzing and reporting of financial data, maintain accurate financial records, perform audits and fix observed discrepancies, so on and so forth. If you care to read this, pause the video and care to read this fully, you will see that all bullet points talk about accounting and accounting related activities only. So this is a proper accounting associate's job. So nowhere you can see the person they are looking for should be qualified in how to run advertisements. So this is a responsibility requirements of a person who should be appointed as an accounting associate. So the scope of responsibility, even though the bullet points are quite numerical, it is very restricted to accounting aspects only. So it's a very narrow thing. So let's say you do this for 3-4 years continuously, you will become specialized in accounting. So that's the first point. Organization leads to creation of roles, and the roles will be defined based on narrow responsibilities, and because of the narrowness it helps the people to get specialized. The second point is clarity in working relationships. I need to say that this point of clarity in working relationship, optimum utilization of resources, and the fifth point, effective administration, all convey the same message only. Let us see them together and just understand the essence of all these 3 points together. Now, if I do this organizing function properly, I will create a lot of roles I just said now. Now the roles will have a superior and the role will also have a subordinate. For example, when I worked in corporate, I joined as an executive. Now I had a superior to me who was a deputy manager, and I also had a few subordinates to me who were in officers cadre. That means the organization where I worked had a clear structure, a clear hierarchy, that deputy manager will control executive, executive will control officers, and officers will not control anybody. Let's say they are the lowest level of people in that organization. And then the deputy manager who we just saw will be controlled by a general manager, and general manager will be controlled by a vice president. Now this clear establishment of hierarchy helps the organization to avoid duplication of work. Now whatever the officers are doing, I will not do that job. Whatever as an executive I do the job, my boss who was a deputy manager will not do that job. Similarly, whatever my boss as a deputy manager does the job, the GM will not do that job. So there is a clear division of work, there is a clear establishment of hierarchy, there is a clear definition of scope of responsibility. Whatever that I am doing, the other person will not do. That means it avoids overlapping of work, which you can see in this point. This proper assignment of jobs helps the proper assignment of jobs avoids overlapping of work and also makes possible the best use of resources. So this is one point. And also you can see this helps in to avoid confusion and duplication. Overlapping of work and duplication both are same only. Whatever I am doing, the person next to me or the person working for me should not do. What happens if I do the work and the other person also does the same work? The output is not going to double. Rather, the time that is taken will be double. So it is again a waste of time, waste of resources. And also clarity in working relationship is that because of the hierarchical structure, my boss will exactly know what he should give me as orders, and I should exactly know what I should be giving my juniors as orders. Now because of the predefined relationship, we have a clear idea of who should report to whom. My officers, my juniors will not most likely directly approach my boss, and I will not directly approach general manager. I know I should approach my senior boss who was deputy manager, and these officers know they should approach me only, who was like almost like their boss. So that's how clarity in working relationships again will help you avoid duplication, and it helps you better performance of tasks. Okay, let's move on to the next segment, which is development of personnel. I'm going on to 6th point now because this adaptation to change and expansion and growth, again, they both belong to the same point. They both convey the same thing. So we will see them at last. Now we will see development of personnel. If you remember in chapter 1, the objectives of management was a subtopic. In that, there is an objective called personnel objective. An organization has like growth objective, social objective, all these types of objectives we saw, didn't we? So along with that, there is a type of objective called personal objective. Personal means employee. What is a personal objective? An organization should not just focus on just recruiting a person, getting work from them and selling their work, make money out of it and keep on growing and keep on making profit. That alone should not be the objective of an organization. Rather, an organization should also focus on what they can help the employee to grow as a person. The employee should also be given a big playground to be creative. The company should set up a platform, should create some avenue for the employees to become creative. So how can an employee be creative? In the organizing process, we just saw in that job advertisement, there is already a clear representation of what the job responsibility of an employee is. We saw as an accounting associate what exactly a person should be doing every month. So if the employee keeps doing it again and again, the employee will become better at doing the same job. So eventually he will keep on doing the work faster and faster. Because of that, the time taken to complete the job will reduce. Once the overall time taken to complete the job reduces, the employee will have some amount of spare time. In that spare time, the organization should give something for the employee to work on to come up with some creative ideas. So that leads to the development of overall personal capability of an employee. Now let us see the last point, which is adaptation to change and expansion and growth. Both are pretty similar points only. Let us see them together. Business operates in a dynamic environment. That means there are a lot of external entities having their impact on business. There might be a new competitor opening a shop 100 meters away from your business. There might be a new product that might be taking the market share now. You were enjoying number one place in the market. Suddenly, the number two is growing at a rapid rate. These are all the examples of the external pressures. Now, how do you adapt to it? You saw the problem in the market. You saw that you have a threat. You are going to respond to it. How do you respond to it? You are going to change the nature of your organization, change the structure of your organization. So far, you have been operating in one particular structure. You had one type of hierarchy. You were having one type of top and bottom communication. That was giving you one type of result. Now suddenly, because of the new threat, you believe that the old structure of organization is not going to be good anymore. So you decide we have to completely go to a new structure. Companies 40-50 years ago had an extremely strong linear hierarchy. Extremely strong. Communication was going top to bottom and bottom to top. Companies these days have become horizontal, which means there will be a lot of room for cross-functional communication. As an audit executive, I could easily reach a marketing executive. That person can easily reach HR executive. Older days, as an audit executive, I could not reach the marketing executive directly. The structure was extremely rigid. I can only convey it to my boss. My boss will talk to the relevant person in marketing department, and that boss in the marketing department should talk to that executive. Then the information should come back from the executive to the marketing boss, then from marketing boss to audit boss, then audit boss to audit executive. This is how communication used to be in the older days. Extremely rigid structure if the company has, this is how the communication flow goes. But in modern days, because of this cross-functional feature, if I need a data from marketing executive, I can directly mail the executive and he will directly send it to me. Now because of this, the information flow has quickened. And because of this, as employees, we will be able to do work much faster and the organization will be able to have more productivity. Now this is purely because of the organizing feature, organizing function. So this is the first point with respect to adaptation to change. Now expansion and growth is, let's say instead of a threat, I have an opportunity that there is a scope for a new type of product. So I have to expand my production. So I need a new division. I need a new function. That means with the help of this organizing activity, I can simply open a new plant and I can set new roles. I can set new hierarchies, I can set new flow, new channels of communication. Then that division and that factory will be up and running in, who knows, in just a month. So if you want to expand, you can keep creating, copy pasting any number of branches, any number of divisions you want, as long as you know how to do this organizing activity correctly. Hello and welcome back. In today's video, we will talk about functional structure, its advantages and disadvantages. Functional structure is where jobs of similar nature are grouped into a single function and there will be multiple functions within an organization. Let me show you an example that will drive the point better. Now, you see there is a company. A company will have a lot of departments. You must have heard the word departments, isn't it? So, how do departments get created? Departments are created based on the functions they do. You must have heard of sales department, marketing department, finance department. In an organization where they divide jobs similar to sales function, and then they will create that as a sales department. Similarly, they will create marketing department, finance department, HR, operations. Operations is nothing but production and logistics. Similarly, you will also get to have few more departments. For want of space, I have just stopped with 5. Few more examples of functions could be IT, that is information technology, and then legal and secretarial, and you also have audit, and you also have administration. So, a company which does not have too many varieties of products. Let's say a company that makes only automobile. They deal with only two-wheelers. If that is the situation, they don't have much of a product differentiation, isn't it? That they don't have many varieties of products. So I hope you understood what is a functional structure. Functional structure is suitable for companies with similar lines of operations. But that is, the company does not have a lot of product differentiation. If you take Hindustan Unilever, you see that company has a lot of products. It deals with a lot of FMCG goods. You have shampoos, you have food items, you have detergents, you have soaps. So many different categories across consumer goods. So that company will not find it suitable to have a functional based structure. So companies like HUL, ITC, Procter & Gamble, where they have a breadth of variety of products, those companies will find divisional structure to be much better for them. But companies like IOC, BPCL, HPCL, ONGC, SAIL, these companies deal with a single type of product. SAIL deals with steel, ONGC deals with oil and natural gas, and then IOC, petrol, HPCL, Hindustan Petroleum, petrol, Bharat Petroleum, petrol. So these companies don't have wide variety of products, but they are large in size. So companies with a similar line of operations but of huge in size, they prefer functional structure. Now let's go to what are the advantages and disadvantages of functional structure. The first point is specialization. Because functions are divided based on similar jobs, a person who gets recruited as marketing, he can be anywhere in the hierarchy, but his job will be restricted to only marketing function. So when I became CA, I went into audit function in a company. So my job was only to take care of audit process alone. So I did not interfere with marketing process. I did not interfere with accounting process. My job was only to take care of the audit function of that company. So that means because I was doing a similar nature of work again and again, it led me to a specialized person in the area of audit. So that was the first point. The second point is functional structure promotes control and coordination within the department. Again, every person in this hierarchy, let's say from VP marketing till the assistant, every person in the hierarchy would be almost similarly qualified. Most likely they would be MBA marketing. So they must have studied pretty much the same thing. They must have grown around the same circle of people. They must have gone to similar type of colleges. So because of that, they will be pretty much like-minded people. Again, to give you my example, the audit team where I worked, almost all of us were CAs or at least they were doing CA or CMAs. We all grew up with studying the same subject, almost we had same set of friends. Therefore, we were much more coordinated and we were much more efficient in our job. So that is the second advantage, promotes control and coordination within the department. Third point is makes the training of employees easy. Because the functions are similarized and the scope is narrowed down, an executive from finance department would be asked to do the 15 to 20 things that was in his job description. So he does not need to worry about what goes on in marketing department or what goes on in HR department. That's how it works for every other department as well. So you just need to take care of what has been assigned to you. So because of this, the training of new employees becomes much easier. You don't have to worry about 200 different things. You just have to train them on the 15-20 things that they are supposed to do. So those are the advantages of functional structure. Let's talk about the disadvantages. First point is creation of functional empires. So what happens, all these heads who are at each function, let's say VP HR, VP operations, they will start to think that their department itself is a separate company. So they will start to create functional empire, meaning they will try to get as much influence and as much power within the organization. And because of that, they will try to cover themselves first. So a VP HR will try to think that HR is the best department in the organization. Only because of HR department, the whole company is surviving. They will have such type of an attitude and they will run their function based on that attitude. That means they will disregard all the other functions. They will not cooperate properly. In fact, a team will have its own objectives and then the organization overall will have its own objective. I will give you another example. VP operation, let's say production. VP production or VP operation, what will be the objective of VP production? To make as much production as possible at cheaper cost. Now the organization as a whole will have a different objective, that is to make as much profit as possible. Currently, the market may not be that favorable for a particular company. Therefore, the production department need not make as much production as possible. But if the production department doesn't produce, then they will look bad in front of other people. Naturally, the people who work in factory, their drive will be to maximize everything as much as possible. If you say that we need only 10,000 units of this, they will automatically think that why can't it be 15,000? Why can't it be 20,000? Let's double this. They will say that if you overproduce, the overall cost will come down. The per unit cost will come down. They will talk like that. That means they will try to tick their objectives only and they will not consider the overall organization's objective. So that's exactly what the problem with creation of functional empires. They will not consider the company's interest. They will look at only the self-interest. Next, difficulty in coordination, CFT issues. Again, in the advantages section, I just said that each of them will grow up in their own circle of environment. So people from marketing might find it very hard to work with people from finance because they two are two different functions. Their both worlds are different. They would have studied in entirely different colleges. So the language they speak, the jargons they use, the marketing people use and the jargons that finance people use will be very different. So that makes coordination and cross-functional working extremely difficult. Next thing is conflict of interest. Now, this third point, conflict of interest, is similar to the second point, which is difficulty in coordination. For example, you must have read this line on YouTube. An architect's dream is engineer's nightmare. You must have heard this. What is an architect's dream? An architect is a person who just draws on paper. So he can get as creative as possible. He can draw the most complicated design. But who is responsible for actually making it happen? Engineer. So an architect dream is an engineer's nightmare. See, in a company, the example which I said, architect is similar to a marketing guy and the engineer is similar to the production guy. The marketing guy will come up with the brand design, brand logo, the product design and everything. He can simply draw a blueprint in his computer. He will just give a 3D diagram. Let's talk about making of a cell phone. He will come up with an extremely fancy design and he will say that if we make our new phone model like this, it will be much better than everything. But who is the one actually responsible for making it happen in real life? The operations guy. The operations guy will end up having a lot of difficulty while actually manufacturing it. So these two people will always be fighting most likely. So this is the example of conflict of interest. So let's go to the last point, which is leads to inflexibility and narrowness of perspective. This is quite contradictory to what we studied in specialization because it works both ways. When a person keeps doing the same thing, yes, the advantage is the person gets specialized. So it takes lesser and lesser time for the person to do the same job over a period of time. Therefore, it will lead to efficiency. So that's the positive aspect of it. But what is the other side, downside to it? If you keep doing the same thing again and again and again, you become very narrow in your perspective. You will become so closed to considering the thoughts of others. You will become very inflexible. So you will start to think like, I work in this way, so everybody else also should work in the same way. You will not be open to their perspective. You will not be ready to be standing on their shoes. It will lead to inflexibility. It will lead to lack of empathy. That's another disadvantage. Hello and welcome back. In today's video, we will be talking about divisional structure of an organization, its advantages and disadvantages. So what is a divisional structure? It is when an entity is divided into multiple divisions based on the similarity of its products or the services it provides. Let me give you an example. If a company or an entity has multiple categories of products that they sell, or if they provide multiple categories of services, then divisional structure is suitable for them. The example that I said, Hindustan Unilever is a classic example of a divisional structure organization because it has almost every brand that you see on grocery shops and supermarkets. You see the brands are listed here. Each and every brand is so contrast to each other. You see Axe is a deodorant, but Boost is a consumable item. And you see Brew is a tea brand, coffee brand. And Three Roses, Red Label, Taza, these are all tea brands, but they also have Comfort, which is a fabric conditioner. Then they have Close Up. Then they have Clinic Plus. So they will have a lot of divisions inside the same company. They might have a division named consumables and all the food items might come. Then they will have a personal care division where they will have shampoo, conditioner, and then they will have this fabric conditioners, Comfort and Surf Excel, Wheel, all those detergent brand, Vim, all those detergent brands will be grouped together. Like this, the company will be divided into 5 to 6 divisions. Again, this is based on the companies that sell goods or products. What about services? There are a lot of chartered accountant firms where they provide a variety of services. A big chartered accountant firm, you take any big four firms like PwC, Ernst & Young, Deloitte and KPMG, every firm follows this divisional structure. They call them as a strategic business unit, which means the entire firm is divided into each and every micro SBUs or each and every division based on the services they provide. So in Big Fours, if you see, they will have a separate division for statutory audit, internal audit, IT, transfer pricing, direct tax, GST. All these are separate services. So based on the services, each and every division will be created and each will be headed by a partner. To give you more clarity, the company where I worked had the divisional structure of organization. Now this is the functional structure where we discussed in the last class. A company does not have a variety of products. The products are very of same and similar in nature. They don't have much of diversification. It is suitable for those companies to follow functional based structure. See, the organization was divided into multiple functions: sales, marketing, production, finance, HR, and the hierarchy will go down in that direction from each and every function. VP sales will be the head of sales department, then GM sales, DM sales. It will go down till the assistant. But if you see the divisional structure of an organization, it is again headed by the chairman and managing director. But The CMD divides the entire company based on the division. The company where I worked, it was similar to Hindustan Unilever. It was an FMCG company. And there were divisions like personal care. Again, in personal care, there were shampoos, conditioners, hair wash powders. And there was also another division, dairy, where we sold milkshakes and normal milk packets, curds, paneer. And then there was this business of food and snacks where they sold pickles, namkeen, chips, potato chips. Each division had a business head. Under each business head, under each division, the company again followed a structure similar to functional structure. Each division will again have a sales manager, marketing manager, finance manager, HR manager, and operations manager. There will be a separate factory for each and every function. So this is how the divisional structure works. So the company is the same, but it is divided into different divisions. Under each division, it works like a separate functional structure company. So under dairy division, there was again a GM for GM sales for dairy, GM marketing for dairy. Similarly, under food and snacks division, there was GM finance for that. So each and every business will function like a separate company inside that. Okay, so that's the example that I wanted to show. I hope this idea is clear for you by now. Let us see the advantages and disadvantages quickly. The first advantage is succession planning is easy. What is succession planning? Now, if you see, the CMD is the ultimate head, but under CMD, you see a lot of business heads. Every division will have a divisional head. Now, each business head will work almost similar to MD because a business head of personal care has to manage sales, has to manage marketing, has to manage finance. That means he has to work with all functional heads inside that division, which means it is almost like he is running a separate company himself. Therefore, he will have a wide knowledge of how each and every function is done. That means he can be a potential candidate to come to the next CMD position, chairman and managing director position. He will be a best fit to become the next top management personnel. So if a person is running a business, a division fully by his own, he will be made as the next successor. So like this, a business will have again multiple divisions, multiple divisional heads. So I will not run short of leaders in my company. So that's the first thing. Succession planning is easy. Second is easy accountability and proper basis for measurement. Now, if you see under functional structure, each function does a separate thing. They follow a specialized set of activities. So tomorrow, if the sales is down, you may not be able to blame the entire thing on VP sales alone. The moment the CMD pinpoints VP sales as to why sales is not growing, the VP sales will quietly say that we are doing our best job. I don't know, the production quality is not good. Or then the production manager will say that purchase manager did not buy raw materials on time. Or who knows, everybody they will blame the logistics manager. We have been getting the orders properly. Only the logistics is not delivering on time or they are not delivering the product in good quality. So like that, the blame will keep shifting from one person to the other under functional structure. But in divisional structure, if you see, each division will have a separate profit and loss account. So personal care will have its own P&L, its own balance sheet. Similarly, dairy will have food and snacks. How many ever divisions are there, they will have separate profit and loss. Therefore, if a particular division is not performing well, then the managing director does not have to go rounds with 5 different people. If they say ultimately the company has made X amount of profit, every other division has generated good amount of contribution to this profit, your division, let's say dairy is not making profit, dairy division business head alone will be caught. So that person alone will have to answer. So they can pinpoint the problem easily. Overall dairy division is not functioning properly. Why is the reason? What is the reason? So easy accountability and proper basis for measurement. And then facilitates expansion. Now if you see, each division functions like a separate company. So tomorrow if the managing director comes up with a new idea and if he wants to set up a new variety of service or product, he can simply copy paste. This same template is already there. They can simply create another role and easily a new set of organization, new division of organization will be formed easily in a matter of maximum 1 month. So if a company wants to add a new division, it will be very easily done if they follow divisional structure. because they already have the template here. Next, let's talk about the disadvantages. Conflicts may arise with one division getting more funds allocated, trying to maximize the profits at the cost of other divisions. So this is a classic conflict only. The company will have an overall fixed budget, let's say 200, 300 crores. How they allocate that 200 crores into each and every division, then it's a question of debate only. So personal care might have bigger contribution to turnover of the whole company. So that might get like 60% or 70% of the budget, and the other divisions might get only a moderate amount of say 20%, 25%. So these guys, these divisional guys, when they are questioned like why are your sales not growing? Why is the brand not generating enough profits? Then they will start to create unnecessary issue. They will have one reason to put the blame on their underperformance, to simply say that we have not been given budget. So again, divisional clash might also happen. So that was the first point. Conflicts, room for conflict is always there. The second point is increase in costs as the number of employees will be higher than the functional structure. Now, if you see, I'll give you an example. I have been to functional type of organization. I have also been to divisional type of organization. Under functional type of organization, the VP Finance, even if the company has 4 or 5 products, they may not be so differentiated products. They might be under similar sector only. But even let's say the company has 4 to 5 brands, the VP Finance will do the finance for the entire range of products. Similarly, marketing department VP will be responsible for pushing advertisements, making advertisements for all types of products, even if the company has 4 to 5 brands. So the overall number of employees might be little less under a functional type of organization, because everything is divided based on function. So if you are given one function, for every product you have to take care of that function. So HR means a HR has to hire employees for all products, people responsible for all products. So operations, again, a factory will take care of the production of all brands together. So that saves cost. Functional structure, it is quite easier to establish and it is quite cheaper to run. But since I said here, the advantage I said just a while ago, the organization structure, the template is intact. So if the company wants to expand it to a new business, it can simply copy paste this template and create a new division. That's the advantage part. But what is the downside to it? If you do the copy paste, imagine the company has 5 divisions. The company will have 5 GM sales, the company will have 5 GM marketing, the company will have 5 general manager finance. Each general manager will take so much amount of salary a year. At least they will demand 35 to 40 lakhs salary a year. So that means you have to pay them. It doesn't matter how much turnover you are getting from that company. So that way, the overall cost of running the organization, the employee cost of running the organization will shoot up. So that is a big disadvantage. And finally, managers will become power centers. Now, again, this is quite contradictory to the first point we discussed in the advantages section. The first point in advantages sections talked about succession planning. It is easy to find out the next successor. But the other side to that advantage, the downside to that advantage is, since every business head also functions similar to a managing director himself, like I said, a business head has to control all the different functions inside that division. So a divisional head will have idea about how a sales team will operate, how a marketing team will operate, how a general manager finance will operate. That means he will have as much experience as to how a company itself will be run. Therefore, he will get more experience and he might gain more influence inside that company. He might create an entire empire, power empire, a divisional empire under his control, and again might start to act against the organizational's interest. So what happened? He might keep asking for more and more budget from the managing director, and it might ultimately erode the company's overall margin of profit. The division inside a company, which is quite bigger than all other divisions, what they can do is they tend to dominate, they tend to prove their dominance, and they might get carried away in the process. So they may come up with a new product idea. There will already be some 4 to 5 good products running well inside that division, but they still just want to flex their power inside the organization. So they will say we are coming up with 2 to 3 new brands, Then they call for more budget because the division is already bigger. They might succeed in getting that budget also. Then they will get carried away by hiring some big celebrities to push the product and incur heavy advertising cost. But that product might not turn out to be a success. It might turn out to be a huge flop. Because of that, the entire organization's P&L will take a big hit. So that's the problem of divisional structure. Managers might become power centers. Hello and welcome back. In today's video, we will see about what is formal organization, its advantages and disadvantages. The formal organization represents the natural, official type of organization that we have been discussing so far. There has been a deliberate plan on how this organization should look like. There was a deliberate blueprint that was drawn, and the roles were very specifically, carefully created, and then the people would be filled on those roles. So this is an official formal organization. Okay. So whatever that we have been seeing so far, importance, advantages, disadvantages, everything will apply for this particular subtopic as well. So that is formal organization, the actual organization that we have been studying so far. So let us see the advantages first. Easier to fix responsibility because the roles were very carefully created. Whether it is a functional structure or a divisional structure, I will exactly know who should be general manager, and above general manager who should be there, and below general manager how many people should be there and who should be there. So I will design at the beginning itself. A general manager might consist of 3 to 4 deputy managers reporting to him or her, and then 2 to 3 general managers might be reporting to the vice president. Like this, I will exactly create hierarchy and set relationship between one people versus the other. Therefore, it is easier to fix responsibility, and I would be able to draw the actual job description for each and every role perfectly. If you are a deputy manager, do things A, B, C, D, E. If you are an executive, do things like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can exactly affix responsibility, and the job description can be written very clearly. So that's the first point. Let's talk about the second point, which is unity of command. Unity of command, every organization that builds its structure formally will take into consideration Fayol's principles of management. One of the key principles of Fayol's management techniques is unity of command, which means a subordinate should have only one superior. A superior can have multiple subordinates, but a subordinate must have only one superior. But that means if you are at the bottom level or middle level of the organization, you should be getting orders from only one person, which means a person should not have two bosses. So if you have two bosses, then it will be a lot of confusion inside a work environment, because you will not know which boss's orders you should execute, because both the bosses will naturally give you orders. If a person is boss, they will naturally give you orders, and if you receive two orders from two different people, you will be in trouble as to prioritize which person's orders first. So this is another advantage of formal organization. There will always be the structure designed in such a way that one subordinate gets only one superior. Let's talk about the third advantage, which is provides stability to the organization. Let me give you an example, the diagram that we saw a couple of days ago. The top diagram is the example of functional structure, and the bottom one is the example of a divisional structure. Both are examples of formal type of organization. If you look at this, it gives me a sense of control. It shows order. That means a company will be divided based on function. Every function will be headed by a vice president, and then beneath the vice president there will be a general manager or a couple of general managers, and beneath every general manager there will be deputy manager, and then the hierarchy goes smoothly till it reaches the final stage, which is the assistant. This shows a clear order, a clear line of communication, and that will give me a clear sense of stability to the organization. I will tell you why. Because if tomorrow an officer decides to resign his post and leaves the company, the senior officer will exactly know the officer beneath him is resigning and he has to refill this position. Let's say a finance officer is resigning, So the senior officer who is monitoring the actual officer will report to executive HR or deputy manager HR and say that I need one extra person to be replaced in this position. Therefore, the DM HR or GM HR and GM Finance will discuss, and they will call for new interviews, and they will shortlist a list of candidates, and finally one person will be appointed to replace the resigned person. This means even if there are a bunch of people who are leaving the organization, because the organization is already structured this way, the people beneath or above will definitely know that who is leaving the position, and that particular position should be refilled as soon as possible. Therefore, the stability of the organization will always be maintained. Okay, now let us talk about the disadvantages of formal organization. Formal organization may lead to procedural delays. We should see some organizations until 30-40 years ago did not used to have a parallel flow of communication. I have already explained this while teaching scalar chain form of command, while explaining Fayol's management theory. Let's say an executive of marketing wants data from executive of finance. It has to go from executive to DM to GM to VP finance to GM to DM to executive finance. And again, it has to go back, the reply has to go back, and finally, it has to cross 7-8 people to reach this executive marketing back. That long it used to take for a small, simple line of communication. These days, in modern forms of organization, they have cut this need for longer line of communication, and they have drawn a parallel form of communication, that means enabling executive of marketing to directly be able to contact executive of finance. If you are of the same level in the hierarchy, then you will be able to communicate laterally as well. So this is the modern improvement. But again, the disadvantage that we are talking about is procedural delay. In a formal type of organization, apart from the time it takes to communicate, it is also that everything has to be done by a certain procedure. You cannot just like that introduce a policy. You cannot just like that introduce a program. Let's say the company wants to shift from a 6-day work week company to a 5-day work week company. It has to get approval from all the divisional heads or functional heads. Because if the organization just like that suddenly converts into 6 to 5, then these vice presidents will lose 1 day of productivity, and a lot of work backlogs will start to accumulate. So the people at the top has to plan for all those reduction in work time by the employees, new reduction in work time by the employees. So it will naturally take a lot of discussion. Every round of debate will happen. Then meeting after meeting after meeting, it will keep on going, and who knows, it might even become 5 to 6 months before the company actually implements the new plan. So that's how it works, formal organization. And next thing is, may not encourage creative talent due to bureaucracy. Exactly the point which I just said. In formal type of organization, a work has to be done in that particular way. You will not get room for creativity, budget for creativity in especially old organizations, like the companies that have lived for more than 50-60 years. The people at the general manager level, deputy manager level would already be 55 to 65, 70 years old. They will be nearing retirement. And those people will not be so welcoming creative talent, a new way of doing things. Let's think differently. Let's put on a creator's hat. They will not try to do those things. They will focus on efficiency, and they will focus on cost savings. And they will say, we have been doing this for the last 40 years in this way only. Don't try to reinvent the wheel here. Don't try to get too creative. Sometimes, some ways it is good, but sometimes it will again lead to people not thinking creatively, and they feel discouraged about coming up with new type of solution. So that is another disadvantage. Hello and welcome back. In today's video, let us talk about what is informal organization, its advantages and disadvantages. So I have a specific meaning for what is informal organization. At least that's what I think about, is the silent, unplanned organization inside every formal organization. Now, how do I make it relatable for you? In your school, every class is divided into section. The entire school is divided into class, and every class is divided into section. Now let's say you must be in class 12C, 12th class and C section. So your classroom might have 35 to 40 people or 50 people. So this is a formal organization. That means all the 35, 40 people will be going to the same classroom every day, and they will be assigned a specific tag of 12C. That means as per the school records, attendance record, everything, in your ID card also, the index will be so and so name, below that 12C. This is the formal aspect. Now formally, at the beginning of every school day, all 40 of you will assemble inside the same class, and at the end of the school day, you will come out. For the entire school day period, you all will be in that classroom. But do you also have friends from 12B? Do you also have friends from 12A? Or do you also have friends from 12D? Or friends from class 11, class 10? That is informal organization. The formal organization will have a committed line, like a committed boundary, like 12A, 12C, 12B, like that. But in the informal organization, people will breach those formal lines and make connections with people from different divisions, different class, different departments. So again, simple example, maybe during lunch period, some 5 people from 12A and 3 people from 12B and 3 people from 12C might be friends, and they go there, lunch together. And let's say they all live nearby, and after school, they all go home together. So inside school, they go to different sections, but outside school, on during lunch period and interval periods, they will have their own unique gathering. Let's say it's a tight inner circle. Like this, have you seen a lot of people forming groups? Students from your class making groups with students from other classes. Now that is exactly informal organization. In the formal organization, a company will be divided into different departments, or a company will be divided into different divisions. But despite this, people will form groups with people from other divisions as well. This will not follow any hierarchy. This will not follow any formal lines of communication. So that is informal organization. Let us talk about the advantages and disadvantages. Before we discuss about the advantages, I will have to tell you that you cannot stop informal organizations from keep on happening. They will keep on happening in one way or the other. People will naturally tend to form friendships, make connections with the people from other divisions eventually. You cannot completely put restrictions on people, saying that you should not talk to people from other department. Let's say you cannot say that if you are from audit department, you should not make friendships with people from finance department or make friendships with marketing department. You cannot stop people like that. Eventually, when we go for tea, go for lunch, we will meet other people. We will keep saying hi, hello, and from there, new connections will form. In that way, informal organization will form anyhow. Let us talk about the advantages now. The informal organization offers many benefits. Important among them are given below. The first point is prescribed lines of communication are not followed. Thus, the informal organization leads to faster spread of information as well as quick feedback. So, if I have to get an information from a person in sales department, and I can meet him randomly during a tea time, and I can immediately talk about him in that 5-10 minutes gap that I get in that tea time. We can discuss over details over tea or coffee, or discuss details over lunch. If I have to make it formal, then I have to actually go to my desk, type a mail on my laptop, have to click send, and the other person should see the mail and should make a time for replying to my mail, and then I will get that information. If it is informal, then I can meet that person over lunch or over tea, and we can get the data discussed. Okay, the next thing is, it helps to fulfill the social needs of the members and allows them to find like-minded people. We are all social creatures. We cannot function in isolation. Now, you might have experienced this during the COVID period. A lot of companies, a lot of organizations, they have gone to this work from home, operate from home mode of working. It was good for some people, like people who are extreme introverts. They would prefer to work from home. But for a lot of other people, they might need that touch of human connection, physical human, seeing and sharing a workspace with fellow humans. People need that type of social contact. If that is not there, and if people are put inside their house, inside in front of their desk all day and asked to work for 10 to 12 hours inside that, their performance usually declines. So the companies, what they have done post COVID, a lot of companies have stopped that work from home policy. But some companies, what they have done, they said that okay, you work from home 2 days a week, but you come to the office and work with other people for the other 3 days a week. So that is the second point. The informal organization helps people to get their social needs fulfilled. The third point is it contributes towards fulfillment of organizational objectives by compensating for inadequacies in the formal organization. For example, employees' reaction towards plans and policies can be tested through the informal network. So if a company again wants to come up with a totally new type of incentive scheme or a new type of leave policy, the HR will not directly officially announce the email across the organization. They will definitely not formalize it immediately. Step one will never be official announcement. Official announcement will always be the final step. Before doing that, what the organization usually do is they will pick the people who have a lot of networks. Every organization, every team will have one guy or one girl who is kind of in touch with almost everybody. Wherever they go, at least 5 to 6 people, 5 to 7 people will always be around that person. So if you can recall that person, just think of that person. So usually in company, what they will do, the company HR team or the managing directors, the top management, they'll pick these influencing people inside the organization and say that, hey, we are considering implementing full casuals on Friday. What do you think about it? So they will just ask these people and let the matter spread from these people. After this discussion, those popular people, whenever they go for their next tea, next break, next lunch break, next weekend break, they will definitely meet with the other people inside the organization, isn't it? They will have a huge, big circle, social circle. So when these people meet their fellow friends, they will say that we have been asked, that we have been told that there has been an idea from the HR team that upcoming Fridays there is going to be full casuals. Then these people will ask for the reactions that they got from their friends. Then they will say, okay, what is the general pulse of the people there? Are people okay with the full casuals on Friday? Or they not okay with that? So they will get the idea before implementing it officially in the first place. So that is the advantage, third advantage. Now let's talk about the disadvantage. The biggest disadvantage about this informal type of organization is that the rumors will get spread much quickly, and because of the faster tendency of this spreading of communication, some people might use it for their selfish interests and put some other people in trouble by spreading false rumors about them. So that is a destructive aspect of this informal organization. That's the first point. Then the next point is management may not be successful in implementing changes if the informal organization opposes them. Such resistance to change may delay or restrict growth. Now, the very example I just said to you in the advantages section can work to the contrary of the organization as well. Let's say the news got leaked among the people that the organization wants to upgrade to a new type of software. Now these people will start spreading this information among their circle. They will say, oh, big software is coming. I don't know what the new software is going to be. We don't even know how much training they are going to give. I think we are going to work for very long hereafter. The software is going to make all our workings very complicated. So like this, they will keep on building stories than from what was reality. Because it's informal, right? Nobody knows the actual data. Nobody knows the actual facts. So these people, whatever they feel, they'll just tell it to people and start spreading panic and start spreading rumors. So people automatically will form a preconceived notion about this information. And because of this, they will have this resistance to change. They will not welcome this new software to be implemented in a much smoother manner. I have personally experienced this while I was part of a system implementation project in my corporate. The information, no matter how much the HR team tried to be cool or cautious about it, the information kind of got leaked through some people, and they said that, okay, this software is going to make your life very difficult. And because of that, every process owner, when we tried to educate them on this software, they were not saying that, okay, we want to work on the old version of SAP. We don't want new version of SAP. I would like it rather be the old way. Don't give me the new way. We have to implement a lot of change management tactics to get them open to the new advantages of this advanced version. Anyway, let's talk about the last point. It pressurizes members to conform to group expectations. This can be harmful to the organization if the norms are set by group or against organizational interest. Again, another example is that, let's say you are in a team in a company where you have almost 8 to 9 people in the team. Now you are a vegetarian and the other 6-7 people, they are all non-vegetarian, and you guys are going out. Now you cannot say that I will not come out on a team outing. You cannot say like that. You have to go. Social pressure will be there, so you have to go along with them. Now who decides to choose the restaurant? What if they decide to choose a non-vegetarian restaurant, and let's say there are very limited vegetarian options? So you as a vegetarian will have to face a lot of compromise every time there is a team outing. The same thing will happen if the team people are very casual drinkers and smokers, and if you are a teetotaler, then again you will be kind of ostracized from the group, and you will be kind of kept out of the communication. So they will kind of form an inner circle between themselves. So these are all the social expectations, the social pressure that will arise out of informal organization. So what will happen if you stand so strong with your principles and so strong with your morals? Then you will be left out of that group and you will be left out of that channel. So you will not most likely hear any announcements or any information. You will not get them properly. Or if you say, I don't want to lose all the information, I don't want to lose human contact, then you as a vegetarian might need to start eating non-vegetarian. Or you who is a teetotaler might need to start smoking or drinking just to, conform to what was the larger majority's interest. So that's how this informal organization works. And sometimes the people, whoever has this huge circle of influence, they might plot against the company. I have also seen a situation in my work experience where, because of social pressure, the people who are kind of innocent and who are kind of ethical have been asked to do things that are not so ethical, which are quite against the organizational interest. The person who did those wrongful acts would not have done those acts had they been left alone. But because they were put in that particular team and they happened to be in the bad place at the bad time, they couldn't say no. They have been influenced to do certain unethical things which were against the interest of organization. So that's how the informal organization works. It has its advantages. It also has its disadvantages. But all you have to know is you cannot completely eliminate informal type of organization. Only you have to see how to effectively keep it in control, effectively keep it organized, and still manage somehow to get the advantageous part of it and make sure the disadvantageous part of the informal organization doesn't damage the company that much. Hello and welcome back. In today's video, let us talk about the concept of delegation. The concept delegation has 3 components to it. One is authority, the second is responsibility, and the third is accountability. So let us talk about in detail what authority, responsibility, and accountability mean. Now, first let's talk about authority. Authority is the ability of a superior to delegate a task to his or her subordinate. Let's say I am the boss and I have a subordinate reporting to me. I can delegate a task to him. I can command. I have the right to say, okay, you come to office on this day and then you do things X, Y, and Z. I have the power and I have the ability to order my subordinate to do certain tasks. So that is authority. Now let us talk about responsibility. So when I have the power to give command to my subordinates on the other hand have the responsibility or the duty or obligation to obey to whatever I ask them to do job wise. That means they are in an obligatory position. I am in a commanding position. So I have authority, they have responsibility. So how does it work in your classroom? Your teacher has the authority to be on time to class every day, to write the test, whatever she asks you to write, or to write and submit the assignments on a particular date, and you have the responsibility, the obligation to obey to her command. So that is authority and this is responsibility. Authority lies with superior, responsibility lies with the subordinate. Now let us talk about the third point, which is accountability. Accountability is being answerable for the final outcome, and accountability cannot be delegated. Now here I have given authority can be delegated, and here I have written accountability cannot be delegated. Now let us see this entire three terms in the context of a payment function in an organization. Now the CFO is at the top of the hierarchy. The CFO hires an accounts payable executive. So what is the duty of an accounts payable executive? The accounts payable executive is responsible for accounting all the invoices of the supplies they made from the vendors, and he or she is responsible to make the payments on time. So the responsibility, the core responsibility of accounts payable executive is to make the payment to the vendor. It is supposed to be originally done by CFO because CFO is the ultimate responsibility of all financial happenings within the company. But CFO cannot sit and keep making payments every day for vendors, isn't it? CFO is incredibly a busy position, busy person. So what the CFO can do is hire a person and he will delegate the authority of him being able to make the payment. He will delegate that authority to the accounts payable executive. Now suddenly making payments became the responsibility of accounts payable executive. Here, to carry out the responsibility of making payment to the vendors, an equivalent amount of authority should be present. Now, so what does it mean? Let's say I am the CFO and you are the accounts payable executive. I say that we have 15 vendors in our company. You have to keep making them payments once every 15 days after the purchase is complete. So that means you have the responsibility to make the payment. That is clear. But how do you execute that task? Which means I should trust you with the bank details of the company. You should be able to access the net banking feature of the company to be able to do NEFT or to be able to do RTGS, which means you should know the ID, credentials, password and everything. That means I should trust you with the bank details of this company. So that is the point here. If you want to be able to do the payments successfully, you should also have the authority to log in to the net banking portal of the company's bank account. So that is this point. So just because I have a superior subordinate relationship with you, I cannot just keep on giving you command after command. I can give you command, but to execute that command, I should also give you some power for you to execute that command. Let's say the second day I asked you to go and withdraw money from the ATM. That means I can order you like that. But what is the next step? What authority now you should have? You should have custody to my ATM card, and you should also be knowing the ATM pin. If I trust you enough to get you from cash from the ATM, I should also trust you enough with what? To give you my card actually, and also should let you know my ATM pin. Only then you can successfully complete the task. So authority just alone cannot fulfill the task, and responsibility cannot also just accept the responsibility. Responsibility also should need a little bit of authority to carry out the task. Now, what is accountability? Now, in this example, the accounts payable executive is accountable, is being answerable to the CFO for the outcome of this responsibility. So, what is he answerable for? He is answerable for being able to settle all the dues on time. CFO does not need any headache reminders from the vendors saying that no, your company is not paying us on time, so we will not supply goods to you hereafter. CFO doesn't want any of this nonsense. So accounts payable executive is answerable that way to the CFO. Timely payments should go. If on the 10th of the month the due date is there, the accounts payable should make the payment on that date or before that date. So that is being accountable. So both subordinate and both superior will be accountable actually, if you ask. Here only two people are there, CFO and accounts payable executive. Accounts payable executive is answerable and accountable to the CFO, and CFO is actually answerable to the managing director because he is also subordinate to the MD of the company. So MD wants all his payments to be done on time, all his financial aspects to be taken care. So that's why he has hired CFO in the first place. So every way possible, accountability flows upwards. The person at the bottom is always accountable to the person at the top. They are answerable that they are performing or not. Hello and welcome back. In today's video, we will talk about what is centralization and decentralization, and then I will explain the importance of decentralization. So let us define these two terms in detail. Centralization is any type of organization where the control, the ultimate decision-making authority, or almost every decision-making authority lies with the center of the company or the top management of the company, which means the people who are beneath the top management, the middle management and the operational level management will almost have zero authority in their hands. That means they will exactly play like puppets of the top management. The top management will say exactly do this, do that, and then the middle level management and operational level management have to oblige to that. So that is centralization, which means the middle level and operational level will not have any authority to make their own decisions. So the decision making, even from trivial matter to most important matter, will lie with the top management. Now, decentralization is quite the contrary to centralized form of organization. It says that the top management is willing to forego its control, a part of its authority, to the people beneath them. So middle level management will have a certain level of authority of whatever the top management was enjoying so far. So the middle management will be given some free hand to make their own decisions. So that is one thing. And then the top management will also empower the middle management to pass on, even share their powers to the people at low management. So they will not say that, okay, I have been taking 100 decisions so far. Now here you go, take 50 decisions, you take whatever you want to take, and don't let any lower management to take any decision. They will not say like that. Decentralized form of organization is even, they will go one step further and say that I have been taking 100 decisions so far. Out of that 100% control, I will keep only the most important 50 to 20% with me. The 30 to 35% of the next level important decisions, you take it yourself, and the balance 40 to 50% of trivial matters, you empower the lower level of management to make their own decisions. So this is decentralized form of organization. To put this all into one simple example, in a centralized form of organization, see what happens in your household. Does your parent give some amount of money to you? Do they give a little bit amount of pocket money and say that, okay, here's your weekly allowance, 500 rupees, 1000 rupees. Now eat whatever you want to have in the form of snacks, buy whatever stationery that you want to buy. Don't come to me hereafter for even buying one eraser or one pencil. For some trivial issues, don't come to me. This is decentralization. But the centralized form of household, they will say that, no, I don't trust you yet with my money. Even if you want to buy a simple eraser worth rupees 5 rupees or 10 rupees, you ask me, I will give you, and I will give you exactly only that amount of money. And after you buy that, you have to come and show me that, okay, that you have exactly used this money for this purpose only. This is like centralized form of management. With this understood, let's quickly read this. Those organizations in which decision-making authority lies with the top management are termed as centralized organizations, whereas those in which such authority is shared with lower levels are decentralized organizations. So this is what we just discussed so far. Now let us talk about what are the advantages or what is the importance of this decentralization. So let us see the points one by one. Decentralization is a fundamental step, and its importance can be understood from the following points. So the first point is it develops initiative among subordinates. Now let me go back to the same example where there is a household where the parents trust the kids and give 400 500 rupees to the children every week. What does it do on an optimistic scenario? The kids will start to learn how to manage money right from the childhood. So it will put them in a form of ownership. So they are complete custodians of whatever the pocket allowance they get, 300, 400 or 500. it puts the responsibility on them. So they will start to take initiative and learn to be more careful with what they spend. So they will start to learn, okay, should I really need this or should I not need this? Should I spend this on ice cream or should I use this for something more important that could come in the next week? So they will start to take a lot of such calculations inside their mind, which grooms them in a very financially good way. So that is the initiative aspect. Similarly, in a proper business form of organization, if you entrust the people below you with some responsibility, you share your authority with them, eventually they will start to learn and they will start to take ownership of their process and they will take initiative on their own. So let's say hereafter you are the one who has to go to bank, you are the one who has to go to government office and meet some officials and get the forms signed. You keep entrusting them with more and more responsibility and you share the control with them, they will start taking more initiative. So that's the first point. Okay, that leads us to the next point. Develops managerial talent for the future. Now, we just saw decentralization shares control with the lower management. Now, when lower management start to get a bit of control and they start to accept more and more responsibility, they will get the experience of what the top management was doing so far. Now, imagine I am a chartered accountant who is practicing and I have all the experience of how to file an income tax and how to go to an income tax department and approach an official and how to reply to a notice or how to go to a GST office and talk with a GST assessing officer. If I have a complete exposure of all this, I will grow as a professional. But let's say I have an article assistant, that person is doing CA final and I see a potential in that person who can become a future partner in the same firm. So what should I do? I should share a sum of my controls and I actually make him or her do what I have been doing so far. So I should train him or her to go to an income tax office and see, okay, this is the person, this is the way you talk to them. If you get a notice like this, this is how you type a reply, this is how you reply to emails. In this way, I groom the talent for the future. So what I can do, the person when he becomes or when she becomes a CA can become an audit manager in the same firm. Then I will share more and more control. Let's say I will make him or her as one of the signing persons. Then eventually they will become a partner. That means the firm will grow. So this is good for the organization. When you decentralize, people take initiative. Because of that, they develop managerial talent and ultimately that is good only for the organization. Let's go to the third point, quick decision making. Now let us imagine a scenario where there is a wedding event happening and it's in your family, it's in your own family. Let's say it's your brother or sister. You are in the first family, so you are very busy with receiving the guest and everything. Suddenly you have a need where they say that we are short of 20 dresses. We have to give return gift to the people who come. So in that return gift, let's say there is a 20 dress material, 20 dress pieces that have gone short. So that means you have to go and buy. So what you are doing, you see your cousin is kind of not so occupied. So you call that cousin and you just give your card to them and say that this type of material we need to buy. But then you decentralize this process, you relinquish your control and you kind of give a free hand to your cousin. My priority is buy a cloth material of this color. But if it is not available in this price range, you take the control and feel free to choose what you like would best fit this occasion. If you say like this and then you send the cousin when he actually goes to the textile shop, let's say he or she doesn't find the original color requirement that you wanted or the material type that you wanted, will be able to make the decision on spot because you are already held up with the event. You don't want your cousin to be standing in the textile shop to make you keep calling 25 phone calls to say, okay, this is there, or to call you on a video call and say that, oh, shall I do this, shall I do that? You don't want to be sitting in the wedding hall and doing the shopping through video call. That's the very purpose of outsourcing this work. That's the very purpose of decentralizing. So when you decentralize, do it properly, give the complete authority to the person to whom you are entrusting your work. That way, they will already be able to make their decision quickly on the spot. So that is the importance, because in business, on a lot of occasions, you need to make decisions very quick. So in audit, when we send assistants to go to some stock verification, I will be busy in my corporate office doing some work. I will be in meeting or something. So the person at the factory whom I have sent, I don't want that person to call me 5 times, 10 times and say, ask me some silly doubts. I don't want that type of call. If I have to keep explaining all those things from my end, I would rather go myself and do the stock counting myself. So that's the idea behind this. You empower them and you decentralize them, you give them enough authority, therefore they will be able to make decision quickly. Then fourth point is relief to top management. This is another example. If you see some well-to-do people who are in business, you will see them almost doing not one single household work themselves, whether it is housekeeping or even to an extent in a family, it's about cooking. Almost no repeat work people do themselves because they find it like a time waste or they find it like a redundant job. So they outsource it to the people who can do it in the best way. For example, you will see a lot of people, even people who are themselves CAs, they will make their tax returns filed by practicing chartered accountants. They will not do their own tax filing themselves, even if they are CAs themselves. Because if I sit with filing my own tax return, it will take me 10 hours, 12 hours. Who knows, I might have extremely complex accounting thing. Now, I don't want this job to do it myself. Even if I know income tax provision, I don't want it to do myself. Because if I sit to do my own income tax return, I will lose these 10 to 12 hours. So in those 10 to 12 hours, who will do my job that I'm currently doing? Who knows, I might be CFO of a company, I might be a partner of another big firm. If I have 10 to 12 hours, I might finish the entire audit of a client and I might bill that person much more than what I pay to this chartered accountant to whom I have asked to file my tax returns. So that's how people think. People decentralize things basically because that gives them more and more room for better time utilization. They can sit and think much better things in that time. So imagine if I spend 90 minutes a day driving my car to office to and fro. Let's say it takes me 90 minutes to go to my office and come back, and I have to drive it by myself. So what if I buy a car and hire a driver? So the driver is going to do the driving job. So every day you have freed yourself how much amount of time? 90 minutes of time. Convert that into a month, convert that into a year, and convert that into, let's say, 7 to 10 year period. Imagine how much amount of time you can save in this period. And what are all the better things that you can do in that time instead of just sitting in the car, driving in a traffic jam. So this is how decentralization works. The fifth point is facilitates growth. This is quite obvious point. When you hire a lot of people, they get specialized, you get more time, they will do your job much better way. You will have more time for coming up with new innovation, coming up with new products, new line of services, or improving the current product or current line of service in a much better way. You get all these possibilities opened. So that naturally facilitates the business's growth. And last point is it's given better control here. I'm not quite okay with this point. I don't agree to this. Decentralization has all its advantages. It will make the subordinates take more initiative. It facilitates growth. It helps them take decisions quickly. All those advantages are there. I agree. But one thing you have to understand is when you outsource your work, when you decentralize your power, you are actually losing control. Previously, you were the person who were taking 100 decisions all by yourself. Now you have hired an assistant for you. You outsourced 20% of your decisions to that person. Now that person is accountable to you. There is no doubt about that. But what is the guarantee that the other person will take every decision the same way you would have taken it? In the same example I told you, the cousin whom you sent to buy some return gifts, what if he ends up paying 500 rupees extra without knowing how to bargain. The possibilities are there. Let's say if you had gone and done the shopping by yourself, you would have purchased a bit better materials, better cloth materials. But let's say the cousin whom you sent was not that experienced. So let's say he paid an extra price for a substandard quality of product that he purchased. So these risks are always there. Decentralization saves up time, but it always comes up with a risk that the person whom you hired might not do the job as much as you have expected. Yes, it takes training, it takes experience. That's the risk aspect. How fast the people get trained, how many mistakes they will do before they actually do the job, at least to your quality. And in that period of them making mistakes, how much monetary loss they are incurring for the organization. All those things that you have to consider. So I pretty much don't agree to this fact that it automatically gives the organization a better control. One thing also you have to understand, let's say you are trusting a person to work in their home. Companies these days decentralize that. They are making the people work from their home, but what else the company is also doing? Just because if people are allowed to work from home, they may not take that seriously. If in office, they may at least have that peer pressure or that supervisory pressure, that there is a CCTV camera, there is a boss who's sitting 20 feet away from you. So you just cannot relax and chit chat and waste your time. But let's say if you are working from home, people kind of tend to get relaxed. So they may not be as productive as possible. So what the company immediately does, the company says that we will track your computer operations. We will install some extra software. So we will exactly track your screen movement. So we will know which websites that you are going, what are you actually working on. It will tell you for how long your computer is in sleep. All those details now the company has started to track. Now this is the problem with respect to decentralization. Because you have outsourced work, because you have shared the control, you have shared the authority, the person whom you have hired might take that authority for granted. So you have to install extra defense mechanisms to make sure that the person doesn't abuse the authority that you have given. Now that's again a double work for you. So this is always a paradox. Yes, there are some 3 to 4 advantages, but there is also this disadvantage to decentralization. So I hope you understood every aspect that we discussed in this organizing chapter. At first, we saw the importance of organization. Then we learned what is an organization structure. Then we went deep into organizing structure, which is functional structure and divisional structure. We saw the suitability of functional type of organization and divisional type of organization. Then we saw the advantages and disadvantages of both type of organization structure. Then we learned the concept of delegation, accountability, responsibility, and authority. And finally, we learned this concept of decentralization. So let me know in the comment section below, how are you finding these lectures? I would be appreciating your thoughts very much. In the upcoming days, in the next set of videos, we will talk about the next chapter, which is staffing. I will see you tomorrow. Thank you and bye bye.